time bomb. Always seem to get the time wrong. Time wrong, I blow up and then they're all gone, all gone. So sick of saying hold on, hold on. A broken stake, shaking the ground beneath, running from everything, seems to be the path I lead. And now I'm beating on the floor, wondering why I feel like a ticking time bomb. Time bomb, always seem to get the time wrong. Time wrong, I blow up and then they're all gone, all gone. So sick of saying hold on, hold on. I took a shot on hoping I'd never change. I wonder why I'm always broken. Stuck in time just like I'm frozen, frozen. Now I'm slowly thinking, a product of overthinking again. Hold it in and change my breathing. Settle down and stop repeating amends. I feel like a ticking time bomb. Time bomb, always seem to get the time wrong. Time wrong, I blow up and then they're all gone, all gone. So sick of saying hold on, hold on. I feel like a ticking time bomb.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the post-mortem of Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0. There was no watch-along for this stream, as I said a couple of days ago. This weekend, it was my dad's birthday, so we were in Stratford-upon-Avon for that. I was able to watch the match in the car on the drive home, so I'm not going to lie, there were some, let's say, signal issues with Sky Go sometimes. Sometimes it looked a bit pixely, so I apologise if anything I say in this stream is not quite accurate. Please feel free to correct me. It was more so an issue for the first half rather than the second. The second half, the signal appeared to clear up a lot better. So, yeah, I will rewatch the game, as I always do. I will do a post-match analysis video, as I always do. But let's have a chat about today's game, shall we? Because there's a lot to go through today. We, of course, have lost 2 runs have ended today. Man City's unbeaten run. We haven't lost since Brighton. That's now over, of course. But also, maybe even more upsetting from like a sort of personal accolade POV, Haaland's goal-scoring run has also come to an end. He did put the ball in the back of the net, but sadly there was an offside in the build-up. So a couple of runs ended today for City. Not ideal at all. We are going to dissect the match today. What do we feel went wrong? Was it just because Aston Villa were exceptional? And of course they were. But could City have done a little bit more? And was that because of like Pep, or did his players let him down? Let's have a chat about all of that and more, shall we? As you're coming into the stream, I know City have lost, but hey, please still leave a like on the video because it is free and it helps support your boy, it helps support the channel. Also, excuse me, let me just say hello to everyone before we start properly. Terrell says he wants to cry. Brilliant. Why Pep Why says Loco. And Jai says it's very poor. Blame the kit. That kit is absolute horror, is it not? Thulan wanted Nico in the lineup. Hello, Mad Hatter. Big up. Not happy with the setup. That's perfectly reasonable. If we're the second half 11, we could have won, says Darth. Haaland should have scored, says Fox. First half terrible. Bob is weak, says LB. Pep lineup was poor, says Mad Hatter. Games on Pep. Frustrating. Absolutely. get the likes up. Won my lucky shirt, but we didn't win. You didn't wear it well enough, Saitama. Clearly. You clearly didn't win it well, wear it well enough, sorry. Okay, let's have a chat then. So, like, let's start with the lineup, because lots of people are complaining about the lineup, and I feel like that's a reasonable place for us to start and have a chat about, shall we? I'm always willing to be, what's the term? I'm always willing to be proven wrong on lineups. However, I wasn't particularly happy with the lineup. I was confused by it. I don't know if unhappy about it is correct, but I was very confused by it. Some of these observations didn't necessarily make an impact in the match, but let me just like outline my thoughts on why I was a bit confused at the lineup first of all. So we played Reinders in defensive midfield per the lineup. Not something. It's something I should have discussed in my tactical preview, because we have seen him do that before in the Club World Cup, and I didn't touch on it. That's a failing on my part. Apologies. I really thought it was going to be Stones in defensive midfield, because we have seen him flourish there against Real Madrid, and he was absolutely wonderful. And we knew that Aston Villa is so unfortunate. This is now the third game in a row at Villa Park where we've been without Rodri for one reason or another. Even worse today, because we didn't have Nico Gonzalez either. And we know that Aston Villa are a team who, historically, against City, have always dominated us centrally anyway in those midfield areas. So they have powerhouses like McGinn, Onana, Kamara, Rodgers, lots of these incredibly athletic, intense, also technically gifted footballers. Shout out to Onana, who I felt was man of the match, and I would have loved it if we had signed him last season and got in ahead of Villa. Sadly, that was not what we ended up doing, of course. Yeah, he was an absolute monster, wasn't he? So we knew that's how Aston Villa were going to play. So that lineup basically told me that if you're playing a midfield of Reinders as the defensive midfielder, flanked by Bernardo and Foden, then you basically have to resign yourself to you are going to just get battered in the you're going to get battered in the midfield. Now that's unfortunate, because we didn't have Roger or Nico. So that is unfortunate. That's the thing. So we were basically always going to lose that battle. And I do think even if Stones was in that midfield, who would have been better there, I think, because he is a centre-back at the end of the day. But ultimately, it still wouldn't have been a good time. It still wouldn't have been a fun time had by all. So that was like a battle we were always going to lose, unfortunately. And so it came to pass. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to lose the game necessarily, but that was the thing that was going to happen. So that was confusing. But at the same time, that's a bit more understandable because there are limited options. Nico came on. I assume he wasn't able to start. If he was available to start, then that's really weird. But I'm just going to assume that he wasn't able to start because he would have started otherwise, surely. We know he picked up that injury against Villarreal midweek. I'm just going to assume he wasn't fit to start. Pep said he was like 50-50, wasn't he? So that's what I'm going to assume. But I can half understand that because of lack of availability of personnel. What I can't really understand is, and again, I'm not saying all of these things necessarily mattered in the game, the attacking unit did confuse me in more ways than one. The first one was that they were all of them were left-footed, which is interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen City do that with like an attacking front five where we had Savio, Foden, Haaland, Bernardo, Bob, all as our attacking five. That was very interesting. Not sure how I felt about that. Well, no, I do know how I feel about that. I don't like it. Odd, okay? So that's a thing. But that wasn't even the most confusing thing for me either. I think the most confusing thing was, if you look at the last two games, for me personally, and I don't know what the official... I know that Savio got man of the match. I don't know if Foden actually ended up with the official man of the match. Haaland got a brace, so maybe he got it. But in my opinion, in our most recent games against Villarreal and Everton, I felt that Savio was man of the match against Villarreal, and I felt that Foden was man of the match against Everton. That's me personally. I know some people had Haaland, some people had Nunes, but I'm sure we can all agree that they were up there. They were up there, and for me, they were the best players in those days. And this is what I don't really get. Unless Doku has an injury that meant he wasn't able to start, and that forced a change out wide. Okay, fairs. Why? I don't really get what was the idea of why would you move Savio from the position that he was man of the match against Villarreal the next game, and then why would you move Foden from the position that he was in, that he won that I felt he was man of the match in, for this game as well? That confused me also. So Savio played right wing against Villarreal. He played left wing today. Foden played in that more left central midfield area against Everton. Today, until the substitutions happen, he played more right central midfield as against Everton. Now, I don't really get what the logic was there. It clearly didn't work. In that first half, we were pretty abhorrent, I would say. I thought we'd get more into the second half later, and I felt City did improve a lot. But that first half was quite poor from nearly every single City player, I want to say. From nearly every single City player. I didn't really get what City were trying to achieve. You know my thoughts on whether Savio's best position is right or left. Regardless of that, though, he's still capable out on the left, and he was not capable today. He's so, what's the term? Hesitant? Reluctant to dribble using his right foot. He just couldn't get past Cash because he was so one-dimensional in that sense. And I think Cash knew that all Savio was going to really be able to do is try to dribble on his left, take him on the outside and try to pop a ball into Haaland. And Cash did defend well, in fairness, but even when Savio got the better of him, the end product wasn't there. And again, for me, it's just far too one-dimensional today and just generally when he's played there. So I felt that was poor from him. Just everyone was a little bit stinky in that first half. I felt that out of all of the players, maybe Foden was the only one who was like trying to do something, and whether it was I thought his off-ball movement was really good. He was the only one who, it's like our base 5 unit was really struggling to do anything, to actually get the ball into dangerous areas, and the only one who was really offering himself up was Foden. And then his final ball wasn't good enough in that first half. It did improve. It did get slightly better, but everyone was off it slightly. Everyone was off it. It was under-hit passes. There were over-hit passes. It was just really bad, I think, from essentially everyone. Bob was a non-factor for basically the entirety of the match, but certainly that first half. And yeah, I just felt that City did not do enough good work in that first half. We tried to play the Stones system, the treble system. Again, we really struggled, and maybe that's understandable because we didn't have a proper defence, even though Nico isn't a proper defensive midfielder. We had, as our midfield two, our deep midfield two, we had Reinders and Stones struggling in that base unit. And as I say, they struggled to access the attacking players outside of that off-ball movement, which I have discussed, but even that wasn't good enough, was it? What I also didn't understand, and this was just something I had to clarify with other viewers of the game, because, as I mentioned at the top of the show, my Sky Go kept freezing and pixelating and cutting out at times because I was in a vehicle when I was watching the game. You guys can please fact-check me on this. I'm pretty sure that we played a 4-4-2 in that first half off ball. Now that, please correct me guys if I'm wrong, now that is an absolute throwback to the treble season, because even when we played that 3-2 against Villarreal, we didn't actually play 4-4-2 off ball, unless I'm very much mistaken. We still ended up playing a 4-3-3 off ball against Villarreal. But against Villa, it was Bernardo and Haaland in that first half who were leading the press a lot of the times. Bernardo and Haaland leading that press in that front two. Why? Why were we doing that? Why were we having Bernardo and Haaland leading the press so much? Therefore, meaning that we had a midfield 2 off ball of Foden and Reinders. So a 4-4-2. Foden and Reinders were our central midfield options there. If Bernardo and Haaland are pressing as the front 2, and they definitely were, then that's very odd. Considering that, you're playing Villa. Weird. It changed in the second half, and we went back to 4-3-3/4-1-4-1. So, that was a thing. But it was just really odd that he opted to do that against, never mind it being Aston Villa of all teams, but to do it when your two options there are Reinders and Foden is very confusing. It's very confusing. So I didn't really understand what the function of that was. Again, why were Haaland and Bernardo pressing in the same forward line? Very confusing to me, and it didn't work. The pressing structure was horrendous. Didn't like it against Villa. Not helped by the personnel unavailability or limitations. Odd one though, very odd, very odd. I still haven't figured out what the purpose of that was, because we knew that Villa were going to build up in their 4-2, and they did, and there were a couple of times where they just absolutely baited us. So it's not even like the change in structure helped us get not baited. We were still sucked into their build-up structure, as we were last season and the season before that. So very, very confusing first half. Very, very peculiar. I will rewatch it, but I don't get what the purpose of that was, what the function of that was. Second half, and let's just touch on the goal before we get into the second half, because the first 10 minutes, I felt that we were fine. Maybe Aston Villa hadn't quite got a foothold in the game, but then the goal happened, and then from there, we were just not very good. Let's talk about the actual goal. I don't think that you can blame anyone. I've seen Haaland getting some stick online, which I don't really get myself. I think it's just a fantastic weak foot goal from Cash. There's nothing that Donnarumma can do. It's just a very lovely finish. And I don't think that that's a goal that we can really be looking to put at the door of anyone. I think it's just a fantastic goal. Was a miss-hit, says AK. Well, either way, it resulted in a lovely goal. I don't think there's really much that we can do about that goal being put in the back of the net. But there's still, however, they scored that goal in the 20th minute. Sorry, the 19th minute they scored that. So there's another 70 minutes of football to be played. So it's a lovely goal. Of course it is. And Villa did have a couple of other chances. Again, you guys are saying we were bad from corners, and we were. A couple of chances. I think it was McGinn running onto it, and Diaz got in the way of it. Watkins did a horror touch for like an effort that he should have done so much better with. I'm not saying that we were good enough defensively, but I feel like there weren't too many fantastic opportunities for Villa in the game. But to be fair, they scored. They scored the goal, and then game states a thing, isn't it? So maybe they just backed off. So that was the first half. Second half. Let's talk about that now. Second half, because City did look a lot better. More so when the subs happened, I think. Even before then, it was a little bit better, but in the main, it was from the substitutions, to be honest with you. And when the subs happened, we totally abandoned the shape that we set up against Villarreal, and we went back to the shape that we've been using for the majority of this season. And I think that and what we did do, was we brought on Doku. Savia went to the right. We looked so much better when Doku came on and went to the left. We looked a lot better when Foden was moved more so to the left of centre as well. As I say, we looked better when Savia went to the right. Nico O'Reilly coming on was really good also. He was providing so many decent underlapping runs. That was nice. And now I think those changes were in the 60th minute. I think they were the key changes for me. Nico came on as well. that was the other key one. Yes, and Nico came on, Doku came on, and was that it, or did someone else come on? They were the two main ones. I feel like. Did someone else come on? Was it a triple sub? Let me check. I think I'm getting my brain wrong. Other Nico, who I have mentioned, yes. So those were the three key changes for me. I think that they all should have started if they were able to start. Nico Gonzalez got injured against Villarreal. Perhaps he wasn't able to start. I do feel like Nico O'Reilly probably should have started, though. And I certainly think that Doku should have started also. Yeah, because if Doku is on the pitch, that means that Savio can then go to the right. And we've touched on Bob, who struggled basically for the vast majority of the game. And that was upsetting, and that was a shame for him. Of course, we look so much better when we've actually got someone who can play in defensive midfield on the pitch to the standard that Nico can do. Not that he was like fantastic or anything, but it at least got a little bit better, didn't it? Did at least get a little bit better. Once again, Foden was like the main source of quality, I suppose, from City. Doku was doing his best, but the frustrating thing is that happens at minute 60, and there's so much football that's I don't know if wasted is the right term, but I'm still going to use it. A lot of football was wasted. a lot of football was wasted. You could argue like around 60 minutes of it was wasted, and that is annoying because those lads came on, the players were moved to the positions that they were used in when they won like man of the match or were like man of the match, and City looked so much better when that happened. Again, Villa were 1-0 up at that point. Perhaps that's just game state and Villa backing off, but I don't think it's a coincidence. I do just think that City looked a lot better. Nico O'Reilly illustrating his value with those underlapping runs and getting into really good positions. Now, finally, it wasn't just Foden who was the only player to hit in those areas. So that was good to see. But again, was it too little, too late? Shirky came on, Marmoush came on. It's hard to judge them. I don't think Shirky was good when he came on, but the reality is he came on with, 5 minutes left or 10 minutes left? How long was it? It wasn't that long, was it? He came on in the 80... Oh, no, sorry, that was Marmoush. So Shirky came on the 76th minute, so including added time, he had, 20 minutes, but it's not necessarily enough for him to make that much of an impact. But I don't even think the Shirky and Marmoush subs were the main ones for me. The main ones for me were actually the ones in around the 60th minute, which led to the formation change. Sorry, I think that was the key. That was the key one that made City look so much better. And again, you're giving these players limited scope to impact the game in a negative game state scenario. So it is tricky to judge Shirky and Marmoush. And Marmoush, had his positioning been slightly better, perhaps he actually ends up with an assist in that instance. Perhaps that is a thing. Perhaps it's a thing. So there we go. That's what happened. It's a really hard game to dissect because we did start the game with the massive disadvantage of not having an actual defensive midfielder on the pitch. We can assume that was enforced. And it would happen to be against the worst possible team to be without Rodri and Nico. I would argue at Villa Park it's one of the worst teams to be without those players. So that obviously has to be touched on. That being said, I don't know if that excuses, or maybe justifies is the correct word. I don't know if that justifies playing 60 minutes where it clearly wasn't working and it clearly wasn't optimal. Even before a ball was kicked, I could have told you that wasn't going to be the ideal situation for City. I'm not even going to say the subs should have happened early. I don't even think that they should have been subs at all. I think that Doku just should have started. I think that O'Reilly just should have started. Of course, if Nico Gonzalez was available, big question marks there, he should have started, but was he available? Perhaps not. Of course, Guardiola knows more about the injury and fitness capabilities of our players. And Naveen says, I feel like we deserve the draw. I'm not going to disagree. I do think that there was a goal there for City today, and I'm not going to say that Villa didn't deserve to win. I don't think that's a fair thing to say. But at the same time, I don't think it's unfair to say City deserved a draw from that game. Now, that's not good enough. Obviously, like we know that given how Arsenal have been playing, we knew they were going to win today. We had to win today, and ultimately we have lost, and so a draw still wouldn't have been good enough. But I do agree. I think that we looked a lot, as I say, we looked a lot better when those changes happened. We're actually looking far better going forwards. All of a sudden, the onus wasn't just on Foden. Now everyone else was contributing also. And you could argue that we were unfortunate because, and again, I'm going to shout out Aston Villa, who were fantastic defensively. And it was wonderful. There was like last-ditch blocks, last-ditch challenges. They were putting their body on the line. They were really, really good defensively, and Onana did get the official man of the match, and I felt that he was the man of the match, and he is, in that sort of game, he was exactly the sort of player that City actually needed, funnily enough, definitely. But I do feel like if we got a point from that game, I don't think that people look at that and go, Aston Villa were robbed or whatever. I feel like a draw would have been fair, would have been fine, but Villa were just steadfast, and they were great. Like, even I've criticised Savio for that performance, but who was it? Was it Pau Torres who just about like cleared it off the line or something? It could have been an own goal, but he was able to get it away. So there were a number of instances there, weren't there? I've seen some people criticising Haaland, and I don't know how fair that is, because I think Haaland had 2 chances, and it can't all be, even though I think that Haaland on another day probably scores one of the chances that was made for him. At the same time, it can't just be if Haaland doesn't score the chances that we create for him, then we lose. That can't be. That's not fair, is it? So Haaland should have done better with his 1v1, and that wasn't good enough. And he should have done better. I think the Bernardo played. Was it Bernardo that played it to him? I think so. And he should have done better with the header that the Foden created for him. He just headed it straight to Martinez, of course. But at the same time, I don't want to microanalyze that, because it can't just be Haaland scoring. I do keep saying that it's not. I'm not convinced that it's a problem, and it won't be a problem for the rest of the season. But at some point, of course, we do know that our other players do need to score and chip in with goals sooner rather than later. I don't know if this is the game to make any conclusions off. I don't know if this is the game to make any steadfast conclusions, because it is Villa and they are very tricky at Villa Park and blah 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 blah. But yeah, we do absolutely, and you could argue that again that Villa were fantastic defensively, but that is a thing. That is a thing. Kobe said Pep said he can't complain about the performance. Only little details weren't good. I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that from the final 30 minutes. I don't know if I'd agree with that overall. He's definitely right about, because there were little details, definitely, even when we were playing stinky in that first 60 or whatever, there definitely were some issues. Like, there were players making bizarre mistakes with zero pressure on the ball. There were unforced errors, definitely. So there definitely were little small details, and Pep is right to do that. I just don't know if it's reasonable to say all of that whole game was just small details. I do think there were some systemic concerns in across the whole 90. So I think I disagree with Guardiola there for the most part. For the last bit, that's fine, but no, not for all of it. I don't think I'd personally agree with that. So I will disagree with the bald fraud for that one. So yes, it's a very odd game to dissect based on that, because some of the players weren't good enough on an individual level. Again, they weren't good enough. There is no excuse for some of the passes that were being made in the game. There was no excuse for players being unwilling to dribble on their weak foot or commit and take a man on or provide an off-ball run in some instances. There were some individual issues, but at the same time there were also some team-wise issues that I do think is based on where they were placed by their manager, who again did have limitations, of course, but I am gonna punt more so in the middle and say that it can be a little bit of both. It can absolutely be a little bit of both, and that is a concern. And thankfully, it's against Aston Villa away, so I'm not going to go insane and say and like throw the baby out of the bathwater and say that we are shit and we're definitely out of the title race, because I think that would be an unjust response to that. So it's a good thing that we at least lost to a tricky game, a tricky side, sorry, in a tricky game, given the context of the availability of some of our players who would have made our life a lot easier. Of course, that is a thing, and it's going to be, and I guess the question will be, how do we respond? Because it's at home against Bournemouth next, is that right? Let me double check. Yeah, so it's home against Bournemouth, and that is a another massive test for City, because that is in a week's time. That's in a week's time. So Nico will be back to full fitness in. Oh, sorry, I meant the Premier League. Sorry. So Nico will be back in. You would expect him to be back and fully fit and available. You would expect if Marmoush can get a start against Swansea, Marmoush should be getting a start against Swansea, and I'd expect him to be available to start also. If who else needs to start realistically? Shirky should be getting a start against Swansea. Maybe he's an option to either come on a lot sooner against Bournemouth or even start against Bournemouth also. Ait Nouri would be another one as well. That could be another one also. So to definitely start against Swansea. So that's going to be a big test and a big challenge. No idea what the Rodri situation is ultimate. I do not know. Hopefully he can get some minutes, but we shall see. We shall see. So yeah, as I say, a really hard game to dissect. I felt that aside from like Foden, I think everyone else was like either average to below average to bad. And that is a shame. And that is a shame. Still garbage from corners, says Bayarji. Yeah. And I think there was a Gvardiol header from one today. I've still no idea how we haven't scored from one. But you get me? It is definitely a must-win game, absolutely. Give Haaland a rest. Definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that. Kyo says Ryden doesn't deserve to start. He did not look particularly good today, did he? Once again, that there is a an asterisk of he's not a defensive midfielder, but you know. I did the vibe, yes. Yes. We haven't won at Villa Park in 4 years, yeah. And that's why it's a result that I'm not going to go mental about. Even though, like, obviously we should have done better, but... See, I don't think we're bad at taking corners. We're bad at attacking corners. We're bad at attacking corners. We're not bad at taking them, but we are bad at attacking them. I don't think that we can really blame our defense for that. TBH. Go have to rally behind Santos title charge. Oh gosh, how do I rate Tajani struggled again. Poor today. Poor today. He needs to get better in that deeper role. Definitely, quickly. He's had one properly good game today. No, I'd say two. He's had two. I'd say one great game and one good to great game, and then the rest are either good to to the scale of being stinky. And it's basically if he's like played further forwards, and it's a thing. I did not know. I was out for my dad's birthday weekend. He wasn't he? He was lovely. There was a Diaz. I think there was a Diaz one, and there was a Yoshko one as well. There were at least two. I still don't really know. I still don't really know how Foden's not got an assist from a corner this season. It's absolutely insane, man. It's insane because, as I say, we're good at taking them. We're just terrible at attacking them. We are just terrible at attacking them. Anyone who played good? For me, like Foden was the best. I'd say that he was probably good. I do think that, you know, I thought O'Reilly was decent when he came on. I felt that Nico Gonzalez was good when he came on as well. But you get me. Doku starts next game. I think he absolutely has to. Arbor, I think he absolutely has to. Well, in the Premier League anyway. I'd give him a rest against Swansea. What I'd do against Swansea is we need to get the players. We need to get the players who have a question mark RE fitness. They need to start. So I'm looking at well, I mean, Trafford's irrelevant, but he will start. Obviously, I'm looking at Nori to start. I'm looking at Ake to start. I'm looking at Nico to start if he needs that. If he needs the minutes in his legs. Shirky, Marmouche. Those players where there is a question mark about if Kusanov is available, then he has to start also. So that is a thing. That is absolutely a thing, definitely. But there we go. And there we have it. Phone needs a rest. Yeah, I don't even know if I'd have him on the bench against Swansea. Once again, I felt that he was our only good player today. Who started anyway. The only one like trying to do stuff, the only one creating chances, the only again, he shouldn't be better than Reinders off ball, but he is. He was our best defensive player who wasn't like a defender. That shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't be relying on Foden to be better than Reinders off ball. That's been my biggest critique of Reinders this season, that like Foden's outperforming you off ball. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. But there we go. Lineup was weak, says Fairs. Yeah. I was watching the match in the car, yes. I let Haaland rest. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Shirky needs more minutes. He should be getting a start against Swansea 100%. 100%. Nah, Phillips isn't really an option. Nah. I was confused about Bob starting. I would have started Savio on the right, and I would have started Doku. I feel like Doku had to start. I don't really get why Doku was not starting. That's an interesting one to me. Once again, maybe he wasn't able to start. I don't know. Well, Pep knows more fitness situation than us, but you get me. I don't think you can give up on the wingers. I don't think you can give up. I liked Doku when he came on. I'll be honest. I would have liked to have seen a full 90 of it. Alas, not. Do any more squad depth? I don't think so, because the biggest issue I really like the squad's availability today was the lack of either Rodri or Nico. And even though I don't particularly like Kovacic as an option as a defensive midfielder, even he may have been an option, but he also hasn't started the game yet for City this season. So he's a player who should start against Swansea as well. So it meant that we were having to play Reinders in a position and a role that he's not played all season. I know he played there in the Club World Cup, but he's not played there all Premier League season, has he? So I don't know if that's a thing. I think that in that position anyway, I think that's just about being unfortunate than anything else. That's all it is. That's all it is, unfortunately. Went to Bob for his pressing. I do get that, Andrew, 100%, because he is lovely off ball. But Savio's also really good off ball as well. I get what you mean, because Bob is better off ball than him, but Savio is also really good off ball, so it's a thing for me. This game was not the game to tinker with the winning formula, says Nick. If everyone was fit, we should have just played the formation that won us the previous games. And that's something that we went to in the end, wasn't it? But ultimately, not. Where Pep start at midfield. Yeah, we've had a chat about that, haven't we? I would have liked to have seen Stones in defensive midfield, but once again, maybe like he just wasn't. No, why wouldn't he be able to do that? I don't know. That's why I suggested for the tactical preview. We weren't going to win the duel battle anyway, but it would have been a bit nicer maybe to have Stones there. Once again, is he sharp enough to do that? We don't know. We don't have all the requisite information. We don't have the requisite information, and this is a thing, isn't it, Harry? 100%, because so far he's not yet done that. But I'm willing to wait, because I know that he can definitely do that. It is hopefully just going to be something that comes with time. That's all. But I'll repeat that Foden should not be better than you off ball. I don't think. And every single game that Foden and Ryan have played together, Foden's been the better off ball player in the midfield, and I don't think that should ever really be happening, but it is, and that, I think you've just got to say, is on Reinder's course. It's about getting up to speed with the league and blah, 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 but at the same time, for me, it's just gone beyond the point of being acceptable. And you guys know I'm a huge fan of Reinder's, but yeah, like, look at that. I think, like, someone told me, ground duels won 0 out of 7. That is unacceptable. That's Reinders, by the way. He's not a defensive midfielder. He's not a 6, as Joshua says, absolutely. But that is unacceptable, because it's even the interceptions as well, because he's fantastic. He was fantastic for Milan at intercepting the ball. That was one of the main talking points I made in my analysis video of, well, he might not tackle a lot, but hey, look at his interceptions. That's going to be really valuable for City. He's not even doing that. Right now. And that is a concern. And I'm sorry if I keep like flogging the dead horse, but why is Foden winning 6 out of 8 ground duels? Whereas Reinders is winning 0 out of 7. That is unacceptable. That's insane to me. Why is Foden recovering the ball twice as much? Why is he recovering the ball twice as much than my defensive midfielder in the game? Who I get isn't a defensive midfielder, but still, like, there comes a point. I feel like there comes a point, and that is not good enough. And that means that you lose. If you don't win the duels, you don't win the challenges, that means you don't win the ball, that means you lose control of the game, and you're going to have a bad time. So yeah, it is it's a shame, and that is a concern. It is a concern. He needs to get up to speed ASAP. Or that there is a serious world. There's a serious world in which, like, he actually just, like, loses his place in the starting 11 when, like, Rodri and Nico are back in the side. At what point do you go, well, like, you might just have to, like, hold the bench for a little bit of time, like, if performances don't increase. And of course, there is an adaptability timeline. There is that period. But I'm, you guys know, I feel like I'm quite a patient person with a lot of our players. I'm getting impatient with some of these performances now, and it's sort of like it's the line is being crossed. We're very close. I'm very close to that point. To be honest with you, I'm very close to that point. I need to see an improvement quite quickly for me to, like, not get bored and start suggesting that other players play ahead of him and instead of him, because right now I keep saying that Randers was like one of the first names on the team sheet before, like, the season started, blah 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 blah. But I'm not yet seeing it, so that is frustrating. And again, it's context. He's not a 6. Aston Villa's midfield is a thing. Onana's lovely. Kamara's great. McGinn's great. Rogers is lovely. Blah 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 blah. But I still think it's worth having a chat about. Do you get what I mean? I don't know. What are you guys saying, though? Pep, stop assuming any midfielder can play the 6. I blame the kit. Yeah, exactly. The kit was stinky. Yeah? Kit was stinky. Midfield can bully anybody. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm not expecting Rice defensive play, but Ryan's just to get stuck in. He's playing like a little girl, says Harry. Would a Tijani Stoneless pivot in a 4-2-3-1 work, considering neither of these guys are good at tracking back or pressing, says John. We will never know. Don't think we'll ever see that, to be honest, John. I need Nika to start. Give him the injections. Oh, Tom. Dear me. I don't know if I can blame Phone's passing was poor, but at the same time that midfield was setting. But yeah, some of the passing wasn't good enough, but some of the passing was really good. Definitely agree. And I'm not saying that he was like absolutely great in the game. I don't know what you give him out of 10, but I feel like that he would be our best player. Now you can argue whether that's good enough or not, but I do agree with what Akagami said there about like, yes, some of the teammates were it wasn't ideal. Let's just say that it wasn't ideal. Favorite Oasis song? You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of Oasis. Can we sign? I would have loved to have signed Onana. Based on performances from Rodgers, back came Nico and Foden, says Jeremy. I don't disagree. It could be a thing. It could be fun. The kit was shite. Yeah, exactly. It was. Third kit Villa away. No DM. We all saw it coming. Yeah, rain kit stinker and hooked. 8's too high for me, but yeah, I think around a 7, because 7 means you've had a good game. I do think that overall he had a good game. He was, again, as the only player really trying to actually create any things. Off-ball movement was good. Once again, should have had an assist from a corner. I don't really know what is going on anymore, man. Didn't like where he started in the first half. He looked a lot better when he was moved to like the position he's been thriving in this season. Definitely, it's not ideal. Yeah, I don't think I'm big on Radiohead either, am I? Definitely not. Would Wharton be good? Hey, I like Onana. It's like a creativity, a problem. Like today it was, definitely. I don't think it's been a problem for most of the season because I don't think we are now, but we were like the highest goal scorers. Today it was. But as we've touched on, I think that the most of that was because of like the setup. I think certain individuals did actually do a fine job. And again, I think we looked, even though I think lots of people like were confused when I said I felt O'Reilly had an all right game. It was more so like what he allowed City to do from an offensive function perspective rather than like him on an individual level. I thought City just looked a bit more dangerous with his underlapping runs than without them. Shit on corners. Again, shit at scoring them, not shit at taking them. Because we always get good chances. We always get good chances from them. Today, Diaz. Gvardiol. The problem is that Diaz doesn't score. Diaz is stinky at scoring goals from headers. Let me just... I'm not putting this all on Diaz's door, but I'm just making a point. Diaz just doesn't score goals, man.
Congratulations for being shit. Well done for being shit, and well done for being shit. What was going on there?
He hasn't scored a league goal since the 21-22 season. And I don't know. I feel like one of them wasn't even a header. Was one of them like a screamer with his right foot or something? I don't know. Anyway, he hasn't scored a goal in like a league goal in 3 years. Sadly, he's not good enough at attacking corners. It's never been his game for City. And that's annoying because it really should be. But it isn't. So that means that basically you're now looking to players like, Haaland, who has been better with his head this season, but generally we know that's not been a great strength of his. Gvardiol is thankfully good with his head. Could have done better today. We're missing Rodri. And then the rest of the team are tiny boys, I feel like. Unless like O'Reilly's on the pitch. But yeah, Stones is good in the air, to be fair. It's not good enough. One day we will get a. That's the one I'm thinking of, Josh, isn't it? One day it will happen. But I'll repeat, the problem is not one of delivery, because we should have scored about. I reckon we should have scored about 5 goals from corners this season if I added them up. If I was being harsh, I'd say 4. If I was being generous, I'd say about 6. The amount of chances we've had, the amount of free headers as well, is maddening. It is maddening. These players just don't want to attack the ball. They just don't want to challenge the goalkeeper. It's like, if the goalkeepers were making obscene saves, I could defend it. I can go, you know what, you're fine. You know, you attacked the ball brilliantly well, and the goalkeeper pulled off a mental save. But that's not even what's happening. Like, headers are just going straight to the goalkeeper's hands. And it's very frustrating. It's very concerning. It's stinky. It's stinky. Yeah? One day it'll happen. But right now it's not quite clicked for our players attacking those headers. It's not quite clicked attacking those headers. And that's not good enough. That's not good. Because those are free goals. The amount of corners we get in the game, and this isn't just this game, this is all season. How many times do Arsenal play like dog shit, but they score a corner, so who cares? And then they break the deadlock, and then from there they can go on to dominate the game. You have to have that in your arsenal. You have to have that in your back pocket. And we've done half of it. We've locked in the takers. Because we take them very well, but we can't convert them. We need to sort that out. Because again, these are how many goals are we giving up every single game that are just free? Especially for a team like City, who always get set pieces. They always get corners. That's always been a problem. I feel like, certainly in the last few years, it feels like it's always been a talking point with City, and that's not been ideal. It's not been ideal. Signed tall players. Oh dear. Is there anything else that we would like to? I've not watched this video now. Is there anything else that we would like to touch on today? I think we've covered quite a lot of it. I think we have covered quite a lot of it. What I'd probably like to see happen now, it's such a frustrating game to analyse because Reinders ain't going to be playing in player ratings. We can do player ratings. Yeah, would you guys like us to do player ratings? I don't mind doing that. That can definitely be a thing. What do you reckon? Do you want us to do that? I've spoken about the wingers and my disappointment with their usage in their performance. That's interesting, Harry, because I don't think I disagree. I actually don't think I disagree. I felt that defensively, I'm not going to blame anyone for their goal. I'm not going to blame anyone for their goal. It's just a fantastic strike, and there was that scary one from the corner from the beginning, but outside of that, they didn't have too much to do. But hey, they were 1-0 up, so they didn't have to do much. So there's always that counterpoint, isn't there? There is always that counterpoint. I thought Foden played well, TBH. Once again, am I saying that's good enough? No. But I do think that he was our best player. I do think that can someone else be like our best player on the pitch? Like, thank you. He's the only one like actually trying to create shit for us. Christ, man. And obviously when Shirky came on, he tried, but he wasn't anything particularly going on there. But hey, didn't have much time. You want to do ratings? Yeah, we can do that. Gonna hire an Etsy witch to heal Rodri's knee. Oh dear. Arsenal playing like 23-24 City. Says comment creator. It's the rain kit, says Natando, you might be right. He should have scored, but... And yeah, he definitely should have. I'm not trying to make an excuse for him. And he could have done better with the header. He could have done better with the header that Foden created for him as well. But at the same time, I do need someone else to convert. And Savio nearly did that, but for a really good Pau Torres thing. But yeah, I do think it will get better when Marmouche gets properly reintroduced and when Shirky also gets introduced also. But yeah, right now, it can't all just be at the door of Foden. Do you know what I mean? It can't all be there. And this is something that LB touched on, which I do definitely agree with. Like, this is where like other players like Shirky do need to be integrated at some point. I'm nowhere near as intelligent as Pep. Thank you though, but I'm not. Is that true? That's interesting. Really? Ooh, that's interesting. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of the chances created stats because, so for example, I'm not trying to. In general, if you do have lots of chances created, then you are a good chance creator. But the reason why I'm not a fan of the stat in isolation, I'm not having a go here, by the way, Tris. I'm just saying is that because a chance created is just you know that little flick that Foden did, which was very nice in the second half on the just before the halfway line, I want to say, or maybe on the halfway line, and it is a really nice flick. And then Reinders just like runs with it, and then it's a tame shot or whatever. Like, that counts as a chance created, for example. So that's why I don't personally like the stat on its own. But across a season, you're saying it's per season. So across a season, it is usually indicative, and that doesn't surprise me really because Foden has been fantastic this season creatively. So it doesn't really surprise me. Yeah. So there we go. We're walking away with something, chat. Yeah, for the Foden believers, we're walking away with something. Oh dear. Right. Okay. Let's do player ratings on Fanalysis, which is an app that I'm involved in, where you guys can go see people's thoughts on the match and that sort of thing. Oh, make sure we're not spamming, or you are not gonna have your comment addressed, I'm afraid, and a moderator is going to time you out, I'm afraid. I do not read spam. I am afraid. You know? Apologies there. Okay. Let's start at the back then, shall we? So, Donnarumma. I think that Donnarumma only had one moment where I wasn't happy with him. Outside of that, he didn't do anything wrong. There was one moment, I think it was like the Watkins one, and he had to be way quicker and he had to actually come out and engage. Thankfully, Watkins shits himself and his touch is horrendous, or doesn't even get the touch on, and he gets away with it. Outside of that, I felt Donnarumma, there was nothing else he could have done. He's not stopping that goal ever. That would be really, really mean to try to suggest that he should be doing that. I actually thought that he was good on ball as well, you know. I actually thought that his distribution today was really nice. Well, really nice is pushing it. I thought it was nice. It was more than competent. I thought it was fine. Again, nothing he could have done for the goal. Well, let me just reiterate the ratings, because I feel like rating sites do it differently to how I do it, and I'm here to tell you that every single rating site is wrong, because mathematically, an average is 5. Yeah? So every single rating site that starts with a 6 is mathematically wrong, because an average is 5. So 5 is average, 6 is above average, 7 is good, 8 is great, 9 is excellent, 10 is perfect. So again, 5 is average, 6 above average, 7 good, 8 great, 9 brilliant, 10 perfect. So I'm going to say that he had a good game. So I think that deserves a 7, personally. Nothing he could do for the goal. Outside of the Watkins situation, I don't have any critiques of him. So I'm going to say that he had a good game. So I'm going to say a 7. You guys can say high 60s as well. I'm going to lock in a 7/a 70, personally. Because I felt he had a good game. Nothing that he can really do. Nothing he could really do for that. Sorry, no. No, I'm going to say high 6, 68. 68 I'm going to go for. Ruben Diaz. A couple of good blocks. Again, nothing he could do for the goal. Felt he had a good game. We have talked about the lack of fucking aerial ability from the headers. He had another good look at a header today, didn't he, from a corner? Wasn't good enough there, but defensively he did his job. I'm sort of looking again for like a high 6 or a 7, maybe. I'm reluctant to say he had a. No, I don't think he had a good game. I can only really judge it off like what the player is expected to do, and defensively he did everything like fine, really. So I feel like I'm going to give him like something to do with a 7. I'm going to say low 70. So I'm going to say 71 or 72, I reckon, because that's good. It means he had a good game. I think that's fine. I think that's reasonable for him. I think that's reasonable. John. John did not look particularly good in the centre. We set up the whole system to play the John Stones system, and he didn't look that assured on the ball or comfortable. The whole function of him being in the midfield didn't add anything. It was the exact opposite of that Villarreal performance. You could argue it actually hindered us. You guys are saying more like a 5, which is, of course, average, and I think I'm probably inclined to agree that it probably should be in the region of between a 5 and a 6, so a 5 point something, I'm going to say, because of what he should have been providing to the team, and ultimately he didn't, and he was taken off after 60 minutes, and then we looked a lot better when Stones actually came off, so I think I'm going to say, but he didn't make any like bad errors necessarily, but he wasn't solid enough for us overall and didn't really provide what he was supposed to be providing. So I'm going to say 56 for that, 56. Yoshko, Gvardiol, what do we reckon for Yoshko? Should have done better, like Diaz, should have done better with one of those headers from one of those Foden corners. He started at left back. We know that he's not a left back. Unsurprisingly, looked a lot better when he went to centre back. And even though it was nice to go back to the Stone system for a couple of games, maybe he should just we know that he is a left centre back. At the end of the day, we know that he is a left centre back. Yeah, I definitely agree, Satchia. He did struggle at left back, but then got a lot better at moving into defence. Yeah, what was that? I mean, he actually had 2 headers from corners. I can't remember one of them. I remember the one where he just hit it straight into the. Was it straight into the goalkeeper or something, or too central, whatever it was. I'm going to say that it was not as good as Diaz, but better than Stone. So I'm going to say 60 something. I'm going to say 64 for Gvardiol. Why not? 64. Mateus Nunes. Very frustrating moment towards the end of the game where he just decides to try to twat it with his weak foot for no reason at all. Defensively sound. Did he? Well, he made one slip, didn't he? And that was annoying, and that was a bit frustrating. But I felt that he played fine. I felt that he played fine overall, apart from that one silly little error. I'm not going to hold that mistake against him for just like opting to have a shot towards the end. I felt that you could argue was maybe our most solid fullback option today. What are you guys saying though? What do you reckon? Make sure you're doing your scores with me, by the way, as you are going along with me. We do have over 300 people in here, which is lovely. Let's get up to 150 likes, guys. Make sure to leave a like on the video. Pay your like rent. It is free and it helps support the channel. Pep needs to use Nori, never move Yoshko again this season. So I don't disagree. 6.1, 65, 60, 6.5. Yeah, it's around that region, isn't it? I'm gonna say that he's a high. I'm gonna give him a 69. Ha 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 ha. Nice. I think you just download the app, Naveen. I think you just download the app. I felt overall he was solid, to be honest. Reinders, who I was very harsh with last game. I was very harsh with him last game, but I think that was with good reason. And I think I'm going to have to be harsh again. What do you guys reckon? 67, 4, 50, 40, 53, 2, 6.5. Hello, Usfin, how you doing, matey? Reinders 4. Worst game of the season for Reinders, it's a 4. 5, he needs a rest. Good afternoon, Kevin. 34, 38. I thought Reinders was bad. I don't think he was below average. I thought that he was bad. And that means that the highest rating I can give you is 39 by definition. Because 4 means that you're below average. And I thought Reinders was worse than below average. I thought he was bad. I'm going to give him a 38. He's not a defensive midfielder, but I'm not giving the rating with any context. I'm giving the rating as to what was the performance, and the performance was bad. I thought Reinders was bad today. Not below average, bad. And I don't want to do that because you guys know I love Reinders. But but if I think that he had a bad game, I've got to be fair with my rankings, haven't I? Bernardo, it's just what? Will we look better when he came off? Not necessarily his fault. Didn't get what his role was in that first half as a left central midfielder, which meant that Foden played right central midfield. Wasn't quite. Although he did create the best chance for Haaland. In fairness, he did create the best chance of the game. Just remembered that, so maybe I do have to bear that in mind. I don't think that he was bad. I don't think he was good. But that one moment is pretty, is quite important, I feel like. So I feel like, yeah, I'm going to go 60, because 60 means you've just got above average. So I'm going to say that based on that. I'm going to say it's either a high 5 or a very low 6. I'm going to say that. Maybe I'll drop it to a 58, actually. Yeah, we'll drop it to a 58. That's what I'm going to do. I think that's reasonable. Savio, yeah, man. I mean, you looked a lot better when you moved to the right wing. And you were unfortunate with a couple of your shots from that Pau Torres one in particular. I don't think that he was actually... I don't think he was as bad as Reinders. And there is the context, but I've just said that I've got to base it off like the actual performance, and like he just could not do anything up against Cash. Realistically, he couldn't do anything, and that's Cash. I know he scored the goal, but ultimately he's defensively there to be got at. And that's not acceptable to me. That's not acceptable. It was very frustrating. I'm not going to say it's as low as Reinders. I'm going to say it's more in the below average category than the outright bad category. So because I do think there were some good things off that right side. So I'm going to give him a 40 something. I'm going to say 45 personally. I'm going to say 45, which is in between. That is between below average and average. I think that's reasonable. There or thereabouts. Foden, who I'm going to say was our best player. So he's getting a 70 something because we gave Diaz a 72 early. So I've got to give Foden at least 70 something. The only player who was actually trying to create for the vast majority of that game. Once again, our best defensive player off ball in that in the midfield. Should have. We need to do so much better from his corners. Haaland should have done better from his header as well. Pressing was good. Passing was sloppy sometimes. So I'm going to give it a low 70, because if I give it 75, that means you're rounding it up to a great game, and I'm not comfortable to say that it was a great game from him. So it's going to be a lower 70. I think 73 for me, or maybe a 70. Wait, what did I give Diaz? Was it 72? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to lower Diaz to a 71. And then that makes me feel a bit more comfortable giving Foden a 73, because I feel like there's just having one rating in between them is not what I think is fair. So 73 I'm going to give Foden. Onana, fantastic block from one of his shots. Also, once again, the only player who was trying to create something, his off-ball movement was really good. His off-ball defending was good. He made that for the yellow card. He made that's an error from him, by the way. That's an error from him, I feel like. But having made the error, at least he then dragged him down. Like, I've seen it before where a player makes the error and then just like lets him run, which is insane. So at least that was a thing. But look, our best player is 73 today. We are clutching at straws, but he was easily our best player. I don't think it's even close. Bob, yeah, struggled to really make too much of an impact. Wasn't asking enough questions of Digne. I don't know if he and Foden is the correct relationship on that right side either. I felt he struggled. Of course, like Pep alluded to how he's like good off ball, so that's nice, that's lovely. But it just, I feel like it was similar-ish to Savio, I'm gonna have to say. At least Savio sort of looked a bit better when he went off to that right side. I can't really say the same of Bob. Bob just as poor as Savio, says Natando. 30 says Ultimate, shouldn't have started. 45. What do you guys reckon for Bob? What do you reckon? I think it's going to have to be. Well, he was below average, wasn't he? He wasn't average, he was below average. It's got to be. It's got to be. In fact, I actually have got to give him lower than Savio because I felt that Savio actually did some. He was unfortunate for that shot to be blocked, and he actually did some good work off the right. I've got to give Bob lower than Savio. 43, 43, 45, 44.44. Is there a law that Pep's not allowed to sub Shirky before the 75th minute? Got in here a few takes. Now it's time for Nico, Foden, Shirky. If we can't defend, let's outscore. Yoshko at left back, never. Savic left wing, never. Without Kasanf will get exposed a lot, says AP. I agree with a lot of that. Definitely. Haaland should have done better with the chances that he was given, but at the end of the day, it's unfair to go with that one click at 1v1 you had, you should have done better. Or with that one half chance with that header. Because I've seen him score harder chances than that header, for example. But it's not the easiest chance in the world. The 1v1 is not the easiest 1v1, but he should be doing better there. I can't say he had a good game though, because he should have done more with what he was given, but we should have given him more. I think both things can be true. Haaland should have done better, but here we go, perfect. Yeah, couldn't have put it better myself. We need to be better for Haaland. Hardly creates anything for him, but at the end of the day, we should have been better. He should have been better also. Sorry, I misread that. I thought you said that. Yeah, but I still agree. Yeah. That is a thing. Really got any chances? Yeah, definitely. But he should. We can also argue it the same way. He should have done better. I'm going to say that. And hey, if Marmoush stayed on sides, I'd have to rewatch it again to see how reasonable it is to expect him to stay on side from that position. But if he stays on side, then he does actually end up scoring a goal for us and getting us a point. So I think I'm going to say I'm going to give him a 65. I'm going to give him a 65. Guardiola. I've given my thoughts on the lineup. Didn't like it. So I do like the changes he made. I would say in the first instance, should he have to make those changes if you started the players that I feel like should have started? So I think it's going to have to be, I think he had a bad game, therefore. So it's got to be 30-something for me, I'd say. 30-something based off that. What do you guys reckon? I think he had a... If I'm raising question marks about the lineup and how I thought the lineup was bad, then that means that I have to conclude that I felt the manager did bad. And whilst the subs were good, should he have to make those subs, man? Should he have to make those subs? That's the thing. That is the thing. So I'm going to say 35. 35 for that. I don't normally rate the subs, so I'm not going to do that now either. I felt Doku and Nico were good when they came on. O'Reilly gave us some good function, but not good enough. So there we go. It's a harsh rating system over here on the LNobbins YouTube channel. It's a very harsh rating system. Ryan's got a 38. It's a very harsh. What did bloody FootMob and SofaScore give him? Yeah? It's harsh out here. This is like L'Equipe. You know what I mean? This is the harsh worlds that we live in, yeah? You got a 6.1 on SofaScore. You got a 5.8 on FootMob. 3.8 on the LNobbins radar charts, yeah? It's a harsher rating system out here. If you can't hack it, leave. If you can't hack it, leave, yeah? So that's the thing. But once again, we start with the foundation of a 5 is an average. That's your average. Average. And there were too many players today below that 5, yeah? Too many. What did Foden get on the LNobbins chart? He got a 72? No, 73, sorry. So a 7.3, if you want to do that. And FootMob gave him, what, 7.9? So if City win, that's an 8. Because I've noticed something with FootMob. They will arbitrarily, like watch it next time, and keep an eye on it, clock what are the ratings before the final whistle. So check in at the 90th minute, and then nothing else will happen. If the team wins, I'm sure FootMob just gives an extra couple of points just because the team won. Nothing to do with individual performance, because there's a massive jump at the final whistle. So there's something, whatever their multiplier is, it's got to also be to do with the final score, which I don't agree with. I think that's silly. But yeah, they definitely do change though, don't they? I'm not going insane. They do actually change them. Which is wrong. You shouldn't just change them arbitrarily. Like, if you were shit, you were shit. If you were good, you were good. They've always done that. I didn't realise that was a thing. Until I can't remember why I was looking at it. There was a reason why. And then, yeah, very odd. Very odd. Okay. We'll be live for another 13 minutes. So we just keep it around 90 minutes or so. There will be a post-match analysis, and I will rewatch the game. Because, again, that first half in particular, it was choppy reception in the vehicle, in the car. Hello, DJ Josh. Pep should use the same starting 11 as against Everton, but start Shirky over Reinders. The problem is that I've not yet seen enough of Shirky off ball in midfield for City. Because we saw it today, technically. But when Savio went off, so we saw it for, the final few minutes. But I don't know how relevant that is because you're chasing the game. The problem is I've not seen enough of it. Now, I'm not being funny. And this is what Josh is saying here. I'm not being funny. If Shirky puts in an off-ball midfield performance that is at least adequate, that is like, I don't know, like a typical Reinders performance, then why wouldn't you argue for a midfield that just has Foden and Shirky in it off ball? Which is something I never thought I would say. Something I've been dead against. But if this doesn't improve, then why would I not be advocating for that? Do you know what I mean? I'm willing to have my mind changed, and I never thought that I would be saying that. And I'm still not willing to say that. But my word, if Shirky's able to demonstrate that he's at least competent off ball in the midfield, because once again, the weak link in a midfield 3, which has, let's say, Nico, Foden, Reinders in it, or Rodri, Foden, Reinders, whatever you want to say, the weak link defensively ain't Foden. That's what this season has told us. The weak link has actually been Reinders. Foden's actually been our best off-ball midfielder across this whole season. He's actually been our best off-ball midfielder. So it's now not even even though it never was a question of do you play Foden or Shirky, it never was that. It might low-key turn into do you play Shirky or Reinders, and I never thought I'd say that. And that would actually end up being better defensively off-ball if Reinders doesn't sort himself out. And if Shirky is able to, once again, these are big hypotheticals here. I'm not saying it should happen because I've not seen enough of Shirky off ball in the middle, but it's mad. It's a madness. And because we know that Foden can do it. We know that he can do it. He has done it. It's fine. Every single game. Name me the game where Foden was bad off ball this season. I don't think there is one. I seriously don't think there is a game where Foden's been bad off ball this season. Trying to think. Against Arsenal, he was fantastic at right wing back. I don't think there is one. Every single game has been exceptional off ball, wherever he's played. Whether it's right midfield, left midfield, left of centre midfield, right of centre midfield, right wing back, right wing. Was there a game where he played as a striker? I feel like there was, maybe against Huddersfield. Did he play there for a period of time, perhaps? I don't know. He was so not bad off ball today, mate. I don't know what football game we're talking about there. He's not. Well, here's the thing, Harry. On paper, he isn't the best in duels, and yet he won 75% of them today. He shouldn't have to be this good in duels, but he has been this season. He's been really good so far this season. He's always the one who's consistently getting the most recoveries, the most interceptions, winning the majority of his defensive duels also. And it's every single game as well. It's every single game. So, yeah. Crazy. I don't know what's going on. There. Don't know what's going on there. Crazy, man. As Pep doesn't want to play at right wing, it's proven today he put Marmoush right, but not Shoki to comment Shoki. We have to push Foden right wing and Shoki at 10. Yes, what I would love to do is move one of our best players to an inferior position, definitely. That's the smart thing to do. Rico might be better than Reinders. Thoughts? Nah. Reinders is still a better option there, even though Reinders has been stinking it up, but he's still the better option. Our problem is we're looking for stability in midfield while Foden's the other one actually trying to create. So I say, let's find balance in midfield while playing Shoki and Foden can create more. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. If Nico started, we're winning 1-0. Perhaps. It's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. Whilst we're moving players from their best position, let's do that as well. Why not? Oh, dear. I don't think we've seen enough of Shoki in general to see him off ball. That's the problem. It's a good point, DJ Josh. It's a very good point. It's a very good point. To be fair, so I don't know if we're doing mongering over here. We are just fairly looking at the overall performance. You guys know I like Shoki. But yeah, he was bad in the midfield against Spurs. You're not wrong. That's the only game he started, isn't it? I think. I don't know why he started in the centre though that day, but I never thought I'd be saying starts Shoki in the centre off ball. But hey, it's a madness. Mad things are happening, guys. Mad things are happening. Oh no, though. Ryan's right back. Hello. I don't know. I mean, Nunes is doing a good job defensively, so I don't even know if I need that. I don't know if I need that. TBH. We're going to talk. Of course, there will be a stream. Well, we always find a way. We always find a way to talk about things. Don't you worry. I'm annoyed. I would have taken a draw, says Ethan, and I think I would agree. Definitely. Phone is small. People rarely notice his physical aspect of the game. Yeah. He's actually, again, he's always been solid off ball. This is why I never had any concerns about him playing there. He's always been solid. He's been a lot better than I thought it was going to be this season, but, you know. Missing Kusanov, you say. His composure on the ball, his ability to defend. Maybe AP, maybe. Maybe. But I've been enjoying Nunes at right back, to be honest, so I don't even know. Unless you want to get rid of Diaz, which I guess could be a thing. I wonder what Kusanov is like attacking corners. Because, you know, that could be a thing. Tajani was horrible at playing a position he never played. Indeed, but even at the substitution change and Nico came on, he was still like not particularly good. So I get what you mean, but it's even in like games where he has been playing in his position, it's not been ideal. It's not been ideal. There are many ways you can do it. Just because you play a player off ball at right wing doesn't mean they have to play on ball right wing, or just play them both in the center. That can also be a thing. It's October 2025. Foden's been one of our best players this season. The last thing I want to do is put him in a position that he's not going to perform well in. I don't know why I would do that. That seems like a very odd choice to make. This player that's been playing really well, move him. That's why I was really confused with moving Savio today. Played amazingly well against Villarreal at right wing, move him. Why? Why? Why are we doing that? And it's the same with this. I don't know why I would move the player. It's like Doku. When he was like playing fantastically well, and like people were saying move him to the right. But why would I move him? He's playing so well off the left. Why would I move him? I don't get why that's the thought process. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And right now, it's not about it being broke. It's about like this is the glue. Sometimes this is the glue, and we're wanting to change the structural stability to somewhere else. I don't really get why you do that. Personally, I don't get why you do that. I like him as right back, especially as that third centre back. So for me, whether people like or not, I drop Diaz. I've said many times. I do believe that the ceiling of this defence is one that has Kusanov and Gvardiol in it as our centre backs. It's just a question of the thing that I just have a debate on and question on. It's a question more of a debate is at what point do you pull that trigger? I don't think I've yet convinced myself that we can do that yet. I think AP, you are in that camp, which is absolutely fine. I don't know if I'm in that camp yet, although I would like to see it a lot more. But he's injured right now, so that is a shame. For City, he was easily. Onana was my man of the match, and I think he got the official one as well. But yeah, Foden was easily our best player. And once again, why am I moving my best player, or rather one of my best players this season? Because Haaland's probably been our best player, hasn't he? But I think Foden's second best. I'd say Foden's second best. Yeah, well, again, we saw the deeper role. We've seen the deeper role. It's a thing. I'm not hating on Diaz. Hello, I like Diaz. I've just said that I probably would be still starting him this season, but I do think that Kusanov has a higher ceiling. I think that's fair. Should have been a pen on Gvardiol. I don't know. He probably did push him, but it's like I felt it was so innocuous. I feel like it's not a penalty. I don't know. Why is it the one game I miss we lose? I don't even know who to be mad at. Oh gosh, IDK. I'll be doing a post-match analysis where I'll go into a bit more detail about it, and I will rewatch the game just in case I have missed anything, because obviously you do miss stuff if you don't rewatch it, which is fair. Yeah. Here's my opinion on Savio. Pep's inconsistent with which position he plays. This is a very good point, and it just like goes back to the moving players around thing. Just because like a player can perform really well in one position and can play another position and blah 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 blah. How many times, realistically, if you think about the best players in the world, realistically, how often do they get moved around? Realistically, how often do they get moved around? Now, sometimes they will, obviously, but in general, the best players tend to play in their actual positions, don't they? And they tend to play there week in, week out, week in, week out. And I feel like you need that. I feel like you do need that consistency. And it's lovely. And this is why, like, I'm a big advocate for, like, Foden keep getting his position in the centre. Yeah, we know he can, under the right circumstances, he can play left. He can play right. He can play false nine. He can play striker. He can play left of centre. He can play right of centre. He can do all loads of different roles as well. But just like consistency, surely going to help the player perform well. And it is the same thing with Savio as well. Like one game he's playing right wing, and 3 days later he's playing left. Now, I'm not saying that that's an excuse to play poorly, but it is sort of a half explanation as to why a player may not be that consistent. And I do think that's a very good point that you raise, AP. Like, if they're playing like here 1 week and then here another week, like at some point you have to, especially for a younger player as well, that's even harder, I suspect. I feel like it's even harder. Fenway, yeah. And Bernardo is a freak. Look, there are some players who can, but although Bernardo is another one of those players where like he now clearly needs to be playing more so in the centre rather than a right wing. But in his prime, he was a player where you could play him anyway and he'll be a brilliant, or at least like, you know, 7 to an 8 out of 10. Maybe never like a 9 or a 10, but yeah, there are some players like that. City Plus, you can rewatch it, King. Why do you ever want to do that? What rewatch it? I don't agree, Hydra. Based on his first season, he definitely is Premier League quality. Based on his first season, he definitely is. If you're going to play him, if you're going to give him a run of games, I would like to see him given a run of games in the same position. Whether that's off the left or the right, you guys know my preference, but wherever it is, give him a run in one position, and then we'll see what happens. And then we'll see what happens, and we should see the improvements from there. I think we're going to start wrapping up the stream, guys. So get your final comments, thoughts, questions in. Make sure to leave a like on the video also, because it's free and it helps support your boy. There will, of course, be a touchline talk on Tuesday. There will be a watch-along for the Swansea game on Wednesday. There will be a post-match analysis out tomorrow. So that is a thing. I don't think Bob should start. Yeah, Bob, I felt Bob started the season really well. And I thought that he was like one of our better players for like the first 3 or so games. And there has been a dip and it has dropped off slightly. And perhaps that is just like due to not getting enough support. But I would agree, Fenway, that he needs a bit of time out. I was very surprised that he started. Very surprised that he started. I'd drop him for some of these more important games, and it totally depends what's happening with structure. I still think there's a world where you can play Shirky off the right and have Nunes be that width holder. It looks like we're not doing that though, which is a shame because I really thought that would be what we would see. But even if you want to play Shirky out there, then go for it. Of course, I'd like to see Savio there, and then Shirky like central somehow. So long as Foden obviously plays in the centre also, because you should not be moving one of your best players. That is the thing. That was definitely an issue, IDK, yeah, because Anana, Kamara, Rogers, McGinn did run riot. Sadly, it wasn't the only issue though. Wasn't the only issue. I'm pretty sure he'll be gone next season, DJ Josh. I'd be very surprised if he were here next season. The thing that irritates me the most about Bob when you compare him to Savio, Doku, Marmoush, those three always try to create, especially Savio. Bob has neat feet, but he doesn't even attempt a cross. He does look very lovely, but you are right. Like the final action hasn't really been there for Bob, and that does surprise me. This is going to be a big question mark for Bob this season because there isn't. It's why I kept reserving judgment on Bob, because I don't have. People are telling me he's lovely and was fantastic in the academy, and that's great. I don't have enough of a sample size to talk about whether he's going to be fantastic for us or not. So I'm having to wait and wait, and I think I need to keep waiting. I need to keep waiting. Yeah, and like if you like watch for me, if you like watch the games, I think Savio's best games have come at right wing personally. But if you want him to be a left winger, fine. Play him at left wing all the time, though, or at least most of the time. At least most of the time. That can be a thing. It is, Daniel. Absolutely. It is. It is. But given our concerns and issues this season, you know, do we have to be a bit stricter? And do we have to just go, right, well, Savio's got a full season under his belt, start him there, and then get Doku at left wing? Because if you're starting Savio left wing, that's the thing as well. If you're starting Savio left wing, that means that Doku ain't playing left wing. And I want my Doku playing at left wing. I want my Doku. If Marmoush ain't available, there's no questions for me. I need my Doku at left wing. I need my Doku, yeah? And it's good that Marmoush got another few minutes. He will start against Swansea, and that's good because we will need him. We will need him as well. Even though Doku's been really good this season overall, Marmoush is a better player. Marmoush is still... Marmoush is our best winger, like, in respect of the quality of the player. Like, he's a better player than Savio. He's a better player than Bob. He's a better player than Doku. He is a better player than Shirky, also. He just is. But we need to obviously see that more so. We saw it last season, but we do need to see that more so, because Doku's been outperforming him. But Marmoush has been injured, so it's a thing. It is a thing. Right. Let's wrap it up there, I think, because we have been yapping for 1 hour, 36 minutes and 43 seconds. So let's wrap it up there, shall we? There will be a... there will be a post-match tomorrow. Post-match analysis. And next week, there will also be a member-only video. So make sure to join the channel if you want extra content in your life. The join button is there for you to click, or the link is in every single video description. You get exclusive videos, you get fun little member badges, you get access to emotes, you get a glowy name in the live chat, and you also get access to the Hall of Fame, which is about to appear on your screen any moment now. If the first name would like to appear, please. Why are you making me look like a mug? Big up DJ Josh, one of my beautiful members. Oh, there we go. That took a while, but we got there in the end. I guess it would depend on his performance against Swansea. Harry gone. Perhaps. It also depends, how do we think Bournemouth are going to play? Do we think that Bournemouth are going to give us space to attack, or are they going to be a bit more reluctant to give us that space? Because if we think they're going to play more defensive, we should go Doku. If we think that they're going to try to take the game to us, we should probably go Marmoush. That is the way that I would view that dynamic. That's the way I would view that dynamic. You get me? Smiam, we've had a chat about that, and your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. They're going to have a go. Okay, well, if you think they're going to have a go, then Marmoush is going to have to start them. That will have to happen. And you're probably also best off playing Savio right wing also, for like those runners in behind. This is why when we play Liverpool, I probably want to see Doku... I probably want to see Marmoush and Savio start as our wide players. That's what I would say. That's what I would contend. Thank you so much for watching. Glad you enjoyed the stream. Thank you for leaving likes. Thank you for watching, everyone. Lots of content will be out next week, so make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you are new, make sure to stay tuned as well. Thank you very much as always, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for the post-match analysis video.